Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is Partners in the Struggle, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the organization Partners in the Struggle, the founder and the CEO of Partners in the Struggle, Mr. EJordan. And of course with Mr. EJordan is Ms. Clemmy Greenlee. Ms. Greenlee is an advocate for a program called the Galaxy Star Drug Prevention Program. And of course, Mr. Jordan and Ms. Greenlee, let me welcome both of you to the show this morning.
Thank you.
Okay.
And to tell you exactly how excited we are about having you, Mr. Jordan, and Ms. Greenlee. We were reminded that not long ago we had Ms. Greenlee on one of our programs, and she talked about some of the things dealing with youth violence and homicides and et cetera.
Right.
And so we decided to sort of follow that up and deal with what we consider to be one of the real leaders in terms of trying to stop all of this youth violence, and that is EJordan.
I appreciate that
and
comment.
Of course, but I think that you've demonstrated that, Mr. Jordan, because you've been out there a very, very long time, and that every time that there's some kind of homicide in town, then your organization certainly respond to that. We want to talk about that. But before we get into that, Mr. Jordan, let's have you and Ms. Greenlee to give us some information about your background, the education, the kind of things that got you involved in Partners for the Struggle. And of course, Ms. Greenlee will give us the same information in reference to the Galaxy Drug Prevention Program, Galaxy Star Drug Prevention Program.
Well, I guess first of myself, background education as far as growing up in the J.C. Napier homes in South Nashville. Come from two beautiful parents, my mother Marie Jordan, my father Arthur Lee Jordan, who's passed away. Went to McGavick High School, played basketball, and was a student in one of your classes at Tennessee State University. Thus coming into Partners in the Struggle and how it was originated. Back in 1995, there was a little girl by the name of Adrian Nicole Dixon who was murdered at the Hickory Hollow Mega Market. Being a first-time father, my daughter on September 23rd of 1995 was born. And I sat there and thought about what would I do if something like that was happening to my child. And I knew at that time God just moved into me to say, Earl, you know, I want you to do something where you could support these families and be a voice for loved ones who've been murdered. I really didn't know what type of concept I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be voiceful. I wanted to get the parents and the families involved where they can be advocates and speak out when other families couldn't. And that's what we're doing right now with Partners in the Struggle. And even though it's a tragic concept, when things happen when our loved ones are murdered, we still got to be educational about the situation when gun violence arises. How can we stop it, and what's really going on with our loved ones when they're murdered, and who's doing the killings. So that's the background.
Very good. And of course, Ms. Greenlee, let's talk about your involvement and how you became involved with not only Partners in the Struggle, but say something about the Galaxy Star Drug Prevention Program.
Well, pretty much early on, as he was saying in '75 about the Andrew Dickerson child, you know, I had already been seeing all this violence going on, and I just didn't really take heed to it because about that time it was so much fast life going on in my surroundings. I pretty much just wanted to get involved with the fast life and the fast money and the drugs that were going on in the early '70s, as we'll speak about that early on. But for as the Partners in the Struggle getting involvement, it hit home with the murder of my son, and we'll talk about that. And Brother EJordan entered into my life during that time of me really struggling and didn't know how. I was so angry, I didn't know how to voice my opinion or how angry I were. I dare someone take the life of my son. And by him entering into my life, he helped me get my voice out. And this is what I'm doing further on with him, for him, and beside him. And doing the Galaxy Star Drug Awareness Prevention, it consists of us helping people come off the streets from, you know, not only homelessness or drug addiction, but gun violence. You know, you might have some of these kids that's going to listen to Brother Earl and say, well, I want to change my life, but where can I go do it? So he know that I have a place where they can come and let's help teach you how to go on and be productive in society.
Very good.
That's where I come in at.
Very good. And of course, we're getting ready for our first commercial break within the next 45 seconds. but this is essentially what we want you to do, to give our audience some idea in terms of some of the challenges that are facing our young people today, dealing with drug violence, with gun violence and drugs and some of the other things, and perhaps what they individually might be able to do in order to assist you, because I think, as you've indicated on a number of occasions, that the homicide rate in town is 80, 85, or whatever, and there are therefore 85 individuals who have been affected by that, and I think that under you, working with you, they could form a very, very important coalition and be almost as effective as you and Ms. Greenlee are together. And of course, we'll be back following this very, very short commercial break. We're talking to Ms.